This is Melissa and her husband. Melissa came to work with us when she was 43 years old. She had several years of suffering with depression, mood swings that culminated into a really horrifying year for her and her husband. Uh, by the time she learned about us, she had been diagnosed as being bipolar, and she had been on medication for that diagnosis for about a year. Before that diagnosis, Melissa had an episode where she didn't sleep for an entire week. She had tingling throughout her entire body, especially in her arms and her hands. She actually fell into a psychosis and she was totally unaware of her actions. Her husband said that she took 8 showers in a row one evening, and she was walking around not realizing that she was naked. Over a period of 9 months, she was put in solitary confinement in a mental hospital 3 times. And that in and of itself was a very traumatic experience for her. Aside from that, she was carrying around a lot of extra weight around her midsection. She had a really inflamed gut and a lot of gut-related symptoms. And her thyroid was visibly swollen, and she had a red neck, a red line across her neck, I should say.
Classic
And
of
so,
Hashimoto's, right?
yeah, yes. And so Melissa, she was of course stable when she came to us. She had been on medication for a year, but she knew the dangers of being on some of these antipsychotic medications long term, and she didn't want to live the rest of her life on the medication. So she came to us to try to figure out, well, why did this happen? What caused this in the first place, and how do I fix it? So we did a lot of lab work with Melissa. This is her initial symptom sheet. She had headaches, she had really heavy bleeding with her period, she had bloating and all those digestive issues we talked about. She had a lot of forgetfulness. She was really worried about her cognitive function, and she had that resistant weight that she just couldn't seem to lose no matter what she did. So we did all of the testing on Melissa, and we found some really high chemical toxins. She had perchlorate. She had what's called NAPR. Those were at very extreme levels. And then she had a lot of other chemical toxins that were in the moderate range. And I like to tell my clients, just because it's in the moderate range, don't underestimate that. That doesn't mean that it's not causing symptoms for you. Overall, she had a really high toxin load. And here's a look at some of the toxins that she had. The perchlorate is known for causing thyroid issues, and she had the swollen neck, she had the swollen thyroid. DEDTP is known for causing confusion, headaches, and disorientation, all of which she was having. NAPR can lead to confusion, slurred speech, difficulty walking, all of which she experienced. DDA is an endocrine disruptor. It messes with your hormones. DMP, depression, memory, and confusion. Again, she was having all of those symptoms. Her glyphosate was really high, which can cause neurochemical imbalance and all the GI issues. And then NAE can cause neurological damage. And so we were able to connect a lot of her symptoms with the chemical toxins that we found in her body. On top of that, perhaps the biggest toxin she had was extreme levels of palladium, which is a heavy metal. And her reading of palladium was actually off the charts. The test stops at 25, and as she detoxed, she stayed at 25. Her palladium was so high. It eventually did come down, and we were able to detox all of that from her body. But look at the symptoms that can be associated with palladium toxicity: confusion, memory loss, insomnia. Remember, she didn't sleep for an entire week in her episode. She was confused. She didn't know what she was doing. Depression. So a lot of her symptoms also aligned with palladium toxicity.
We are finding, and I'm having a hard time understanding, even with the research that Ann and I are doing, really understanding where people are getting exposed to this. But this is something I want you to know about. It's worth spending another 30 seconds to talk about it, because this heavy metal is not only associated with neurological symptoms, conditions, and diseases, so serious ones, as you can see, but it's also associated with damaging your bone marrow. It damages your kidneys and your liver. And it is considered carcinogenic. So cancer is not out of the question with palladium. Palladium can also cause skin, eye, and respiratory tract infection. And it can cause a lot of allergic reactions. And we're seeing more and more people developing these severe chemical sensitivities to a lot of things in their environment. And so I just thought I'd spend a little bit more time talking about palladium, because this is coming on the scene. And this is something that we're seeing more and more people, we're seeing it at really high levels in their body.